Hello everyone, Manathrall here. Welcome to a little bit of a vlog video. It's been a while since I actually just, sat down and talked to you guys. And I wanted to say thank you guys for, subscribing, liking videos. I appreciate it. It does help the channel. It does help things. Let me see what, people like, what people enjoy. I know usually the biggest thing is like patch notes or exploring new updates with RuneScape, which I'm happy that's actually going pretty good for those videos. But also I wanted to kind of open things up more between you guys and me. I feel like, I've been kind of just releasing these videos. Maybe I'm answering questions. Maybe you guys are enjoying it. But I also want to have more interaction between me and you guys. I can't think of many ways to do that, so occasionally, I've seen other YouTubers do like different types of videos, engaging, you viewers, the audience, fans, friends, family, how you guys, how we all want to see each other, those kind of things. And I like stuff like that. But now also I want to do stuff with RuneScape too. So one of my thoughts is I want to have an occasional video where, granted, I want to answer questions or respond to comments as soon as I can in the comment section below. But also I'm thinking about maybe if you guys have questions for me in RuneScape itself or other games. If you guys have questions about games either I play or questions about games that I haven't played for the channel and you're kind of curious, I can look into it and try to come back to you with an answer. If not, even play those games and maybe find the answer that way. But that also comes along the lines of, if there's a game you guys want to see me play, I'll play it. But for this video, there is a question I actually do get asked a lot. And it's not so much just from the channel itself, but from within RuneScape itself. And that is how to obtain player moderator status. Now, there's no real shortcut answer into, okay, if you do this and this, you'll definitely get it. It's not quite as simple as that. I know when I actually got it, it was quite a long time ago. I think I became a player moderator back in like 06, 05, 06, around there. I've been a player moderator for quite a few years, back before a lot of the rule changes. I was one back whenever, if you curse just a little bit, regardless of why, you were muted. I played back in those days when things were a little bit more strict. Which now it's starting to lighten up a bit more, so that's good and bad, but that goes with all games really, as long as things aren't excessive. So one of the things I do want to discuss, and I'll actually discuss some other things in another video too, of going over different rules within RuneScape, so maybe people can have a better understanding of why certain things are actually getting reports or mutes and why certain things aren't, because there is a little bit of a gray area when it comes to some of the rules, because it's kind of open to interpretation. But when you sit back and look at it from a company's point of view or a moderator's point of view, what we're encouraged to look for, it might be different than what you're thinking. So it would be kind of nice to, actually know, hey, this is actually what I need to avoid. But actually, this one is mostly just how to, what they kind of look for. I can't say for 100% fact if this is what they look for, but it's something that I had seen, years ago, some of the things that they do look for, to get players into the player moderator area. And first off, let's go over what, player moderators can do. and the perks of being a player moderator, because some people still believe there's perks. But mostly about how you can actually become a player moderator. Not necessarily that you will, but you can. And the biggest thing is you don't want to have any black marks on your account. You don't want to be someone who's consistently getting reported and getting checks. You want to try to keep your account clean, basically. Now, they do sometimes. I've heard of it, and I can't guarantee it, but I have heard of some players who have had maybe gone into, I don't know. I know there's different stage colors for warnings, but they had a warning or two, but they still were able to obtain a PMod status. So it's not something that's very highly desired amongst the moderator community, but it is something that they do take into account, and they do take into what you do. But the biggest thing I've noticed is it's your activity within the game community itself, and then also your report habits. Now, I say report habits, they don't want people who are just reporting every single. Well, they want the reports, but they want the actual reports, the good reports, the ones that are legit. They want those because then they can help correct the behavior. Hopefully, you never have to make any, but we all know that's impossible. But the amount of reports is not what they would look at. It's the accuracy of the reports. So understanding the rules of the game is actually very important for RuneScape. You really, to become a player moderator, because even the forum moderator, they have different rules on the forums. It's pretty well the same rules, but they have rules on the forums too. And you want to know these rules well and carry through with them well. So that's actually one of the biggest things. So, your accuracy of handling, offenses. If you have a good accuracy with it, then they're like, okay, well, they're not going to just be making hogwash reports, muting everybody for whatever reason, etc., etc. That's actually a big thing. Another thing would be, like I said, your activity within the community. Are you helpful? Are you mean to players? The nicer you are to players and the more helpful you are to players. Now, they're not saying, go out of your way and do everything for somebody. No, it's just if you see somebody asking a question, and you're there and you have the time, go ahead and answer the question. Try to, help out your fellow player. That's basically what it comes down to, is being nice to each other and trying to promote a good community and trying to develop an even better community, because every community can always be better. That is just plain and simple. No community is perfect, and especially in the gaming world. So trying to promote a better community is always one thing. Following the rules is another thing. Knowing the rules is a good one. Also, I know it used to be a thing. I don't know so much anymore, but it used to be that your typing was actually a big deal too. Well, at least a small deal. Because, if you were easy to understand, if you could type well, if your sentences made sense on a regular basis. Now we all do gibberish now and then, but if you kind of made sense here and there, well, majority of the time, and you got your point across clearly, if you engage the community, these are the kind of things they look for. People who are willing to go above and beyond, like just playing a game and doing whatever. If you're willing to go a little bit above that and help out with things, maybe organize events, do all sorts of things, it really helps out. It makes a better image for everything. So it's not really overly hard to become a player moderator to do those things. It's just the point is if they're looking for player moderators at the time, if they're putting people in it, who's on the list, assuming they make a list. I don't know how they really go about that aspect. But I do know of some of the things they look for, because they actually used to have a forum a long time ago. This is on, I think it was on the forums. They used to have this online about, what they look for in player moderators. And it's been long gone because, well, it's been many years, but I can't even remember what kind of page it was on. But, it's simple things like these that they actually kind of look for. So if you guys find this information useful to you, and if you guys are looking to become a player moderator, just remember to keep doing stuff like that. Keep trying to help people. And eventually it may happen. It may never happen, but at least you're taking steps into trying to make the community even better than it was before. And that is something that we can all appreciate. I'm sure if it was up to, the Jagged staff, they'd all have their favorites of, who they would like to make. But it's more than just, picking a favorite person, picking a friend, picking stuff like that. There's guidelines that they go by, and they got to do that. And it's hard to say who's even in charge of that. But now, as for perks of being a player moderator, there's not really any, to be perfectly honest with you guys. I've been one for a while. The only thing that you can some people would consider to be a perk is the ability to mute people. Now, you can't just mute people for no given reason. There has to be a very good reason. Jaggeds takes that very seriously. And the only reason why the mute system is in place is if there is a situation that is out of control and it needs to be stopped. And a staff member isn't online, basically, or, stuff like that. It's not meant just for, oh, this person was mean, so, mute. It's not so much that. Now, if there is cyberbullying going on, a mod will probably more than likely mute that. But it can't just be, two friends, joking around, picking on each other and calling each other names, and, somebody comes along, thinks they're being mean to each other. It's just maybe two friends joking around. Some people are like that. So it's not necessarily a perk, because it's meant to be a tool to help the community and to help situations that are getting out of hand. And just like how I said before, with your report accuracy, they do want it to be good. So if you use poor judgment, if you keep doing things inappropriately, they will demod somebody. Because they can't have a player moderator or even a forum moderator be destructive in the community. You can't have somebody going around just doing it for no reason. So it's more of a tool to help the community. So it's not really a perk, it's more of a tool. And that's really actually about it. We can get in touch with Jagged staff, but so can you guys, really. So there's not really any difference other than, just the little crown or star next to the name, That's actually another thing. There's always going to be people impersonating Jagged staff or player moderators or forum moderators. A little harder on the forum moderators because they have that green square. Same with the the Jagged mods, because they have the gold block. But in game, there's always that little crown. And some people don't always know this, but if it is actually a legit Jagged staff member, it will always have a gold crown next to it. And also, they will not contact you in game about either player moderator or forum moderator status ship. They will send it through the message sentry. They won't email you, that it'll be through the message sentry. So that is something that actually you want to try to keep in mind. It's not just, pooh, hey, I got a message from JGX Alice, you know, something like that. I use that name because that's actually one that contacted one of my lesser accounts. Well, one of my secondaries. And it's like, no, that's not how they do things. They will not do that. They won't have you going through loops. They won't have you going through all sorts of websites. Just their website. That's how they contact you, through the message sentry. So when you log in, you see a mail, and you didn't do any billing, you didn't get anything, there's a chance it could be an invite, whether it be forums or in game for the player. So that's the things to think of. I can't really think of anything else to really discuss because there's not really any perks. And if you want to become a Jackets moderator, well, guess you kind of got to work for Jackets. So that's the only things I can really say about becoming moderator. There's not a whole lot to it. It's just you gotta try to be good to the community, do good in the community, help the community as much as you possibly can. It's all about the community with them. Whether people want to agree with that or not, it is. They're very... When you look at, you know, the Jagged staff with RuneScape, and you look at other companies with their games with communities, unless it's an indie company, most companies don't seem to actually listen to their player base. And Jackets does. It might not always be when it's wanted or how it's wanted, but Jackets always tries to do things for the players. And I'm sorry, but there's nobody out there who can really argue that. Because, I mean, look at all the different methods of combat they have. Even if you don't like EOC, I understand some people don't like it. They made Legacy, they made Old School. I mean, have you ever seen a company release an older version of the game just to make a player base happy? Could you imagine Blizzard releasing World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King edition only on its own separate servers? Or Cataclysm by itself on its own separate servers? No, they're not going to do that. They don't want to do that. It'd be way too much time, process, all that kind of stuff. But Jaggeds did it. They did it because they care about their players. So try to keep that in mind whenever, before you go ranting and raving about them. It's just like, well, when you really think about it, they do a lot for their players. But they do take botting seriously. They do take real world trading seriously. They take offenses seriously. So that's actually going to be it for this video. So I hope you guys find this useful in your journey to trying to become a player moderator. Like I said, there's no guarantee, and this knowledge, it's pretty well easily findable, but at the same time, if you don't know where to look, it's probably not that findable. But so yeah, it's a lot easier than you might think, but it's just a point of if and when. There's no guarantee. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, later guys.